Why, hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again. So a while back, more specifically a couple months ago, I made a video about Skyforge, like a first impressions video, and maybe a couple other ones while the game was still in closed beta. And now that the game is nearing release, the game will be free to play on the 16th of this month. And now the game is nearing free to play, you know, they've had their wipes and whatnot, or nearing release. I wanted to check it out again and, you know, kind of give an updated first impressions of the game and kind of talk about some stuff that have changed from beta to live, which I thought was really cool. So first off, before I state anything, I guess I can go into some more appropriate clothing if you guys would like. This might be a little bit offensive, Kappa. No, I'm going to stay like this. So Skyforge is a fantasy, sci-fi, free-to-play, upcoming MMORPG where it's instance-based. It's not like a typical MMO where you like go out and do open world stuff. It's like pretty much everything in the game is instance-based style. So if you guys have played games like Dragon's Nest or let me see, Vindictus or possibly even Warframe, it's more tuned and catered towards that type of style. Now I will say before anything gets any ideas, I'm going to just get this right off the bat right away. It is free to play with a premium option. However, the premium is very fair. So all it does essentially is you get things quicker, but there is a cap on this game. So what the cap means essentially is if you go to your currency tab and you look at your limits, there's actually a weekly limit of how much you can do in the game. Now, before you guys get any ideas and freak out and like, oh my god, this new ArcAge, you know, this system of labor, it's not really like that. So first off, when you're on a premium account, you can see you get 50% sparks, credits, and other resources. So you will naturally hit your limit quicker than most people. As a new player, I'll be completely honest with you guys, if you're doing double EXP along with the premium, which is total of 100% EXP, you'll probably get a good 25 hours before you even soft cap. Soft cap would be you're capping on your sparks of insight, which we'll talk about later, and your class sparks. That's not going to cap your credits, that's not going to cap your particles of mastery, and even if you cap your stuff here, you still have extra rewards you can gain which still have their own uses, and you can do other things as well. So that's just one thing I would like to put out ahead of time, because, you know, I'm not trying to sell a fake game to you guys. Now let's go into the equipment of how the game works on this. So the way the equipment works is in beta, you only had a weapon, an offhand, and 4 accessories, and that's it. That's all you had. Now you get amulets and trophies. I'm not 100% sure how the trophies work. The amulets are catered towards your class specifically, but in Skyforge you have stats up at the top right. You've got might, stamina, strength, valor, luck, spirit, and you have gear that kind of goes along with that. Each stat influences it separately, and on your gear you can roll 2 stats and then 2 kind of like off stats as well, like accuracy, health bonus and temper, dash activation and temper, crit chance, and etc. You know, there's a lot to go over in one video, so I'm gonna try to make it a little bit as detailed as possible for you guys. Now, furthermore, talking about your equipment more, you have a separate skill tree for each class. So this right here, this skill tree, is for my Cryomancer. It starts off narrow, you know, one way, there's only one way you can go here, and then it'll do a little split, and when it splits, it has different talents, which we'll talk about shortly, and then it splits again, you've got another split, and then it converges again, and this is the end. So this is for my class. There's 13 classes, I believe, and you can unlock all of them on one character. Now note that the way this works, if you notice, there's no actual level in the game, you just have it's called your prestige bar down below. Every stat you get on your tree will affect every class you ever play. So the only thing you really need to do when you're switching classes, if you would like to min-max and play the class properly, is swap out your gear, your weapons, your offhand, probably your trophies, and then something else which we'll talk into later. So I'm going to go over now, this is a big one, the Ascension Atlas. This is the big one. Now, the reason why there is a cap in the game on your weekly credits and weekly everything else is because if there was no cap, you would literally see people just dominating this and globally obtaining insanely high stats, and when you go to PvP or do other things, there's just such a difference, it's not even fair. Like, it's gonna be insane, the difference between people. So by putting a little bit of a cap, it kind of limits people, you know, what they're able to do, and it's actually okay. With this style of game, I really do feel like it's fine, because it's an instance-based game. You probably will tend to get bored of it after a little bit of time, so you'll get off, you'll log back in, you know, see what dungeons you want to do, what reset, you know, what you got for your daily bonuses, you'll go do them, and you'll log off. But you can do it as much as you want. You know, some people play games 4 hours a day, some play them 16 hours a day. This is not a game I'd recommend for you to play 16 hours a day. But let's talk about this global tree, because this is kind of one of the big selling points of ArcAge. So you've got your 3 starter classes, which if you're starting as a free-to-play character, you've got the option of Cryomancer, Paladin, and Lightbinder. Before anyone says anything, these 3 basic classes are just as good as the other classes. I promise you. I'm playing a Cryomancer, even though I have a $70 founder pack, and I have access to a Berserker, and I have access to a Gunner, and I still prefer Cryomancer because I just like the class, and it's a solid character. Cryomancer is an Ice Mage, utilizing in, obviously, area of effect damage, slows, utility, freezes. Lightbinder is your support character. There's not an actual healer in the game. There are a few support characters, though. And then you have your Paladin, which is your tanking class. Each class does kind of utilize different stats. Like, a Lightbinder actually does benefit off of this mechanic in the game called, what is it called? It's down at the bottom here. I forgot what it's called. Let me look at my stats really fast. This is just important because each one is different. Spirit, which increases your impulse damage, which every class has. So there is a difference. Like, if I were to just put on a Lightbinder right now with my current stats, I would not be anywhere near as effective as I could be because I'm not stacking the right stats. And they make a big difference on your character. So, now that we went over that, I want to talk about, I want to really fast talk about another system, which is called, like, the follower system in this game. Or, I'm not exactly sure the exact name of it. But I'm going to press L here, and I guess it's called your order. So in here, you have a bunch of adepts, that they're called, and it's kind of like the garrison feature in World of Warcraft, except I don't think they bring you back gear. It's kind of, I'm not too far into this, so I don't really know exactly what they do. But moral of the story is, you send them out on missions that they do, and they kind of do the missions for you themselves. So if I were to go here, you can see, let's pick one, recommended preacher. I don't have preachers. Recommended Templar. My Templar is right here, 100% chance for success. We're going to go ahead and send her out, and I can collect her, and they do something for you. I don't know exactly 100% how this works, but the province system is basically, again, something I'm not 100% sure on how it works, but basically you have these provinces that you can claim, and you can upgrade your provinces, and when you upgrade them, you're able to select a stat that you want. So for example, I chose accuracy, and you can read what accuracy does. Well, I guess you can read it there, but anyway, it gives me a 3.3% accuracy bonus, and this makes up for a large portion of your total prestige on your character. So, while we're on that, let's go into how you can kind of customize your character, and then I think I'll go into some combat, and we'll see if I left anything out after that. So, we're going to go into some customization on what you can do, because nobody likes to play the same character as another one. So the interface is a bit kind of complicated to set up. So you've got your left mouse click, your right mouse click. For certain classes like myself, you can see you have a charge bar, meaning you can actually charge it. So left click would be just a regular spam. Holding left click would result in an area of effect. Right click would result in a attack. Holding right click would turn into a damage over time. And then you have your 1 and your 2. After your 1 and your 2, you have 3, 4, Z, C, and V. Each one of these have a 1 of 2, meaning you can flip between whatever one you want. You just reset. It's not really hard to do. It's not very difficult. It's not very penalizing either. You can earn this currency very quickly. But the point is that you've got a choice on what you can do. So you're able to pretty much pick between whichever ones you would like, and you unlock these on your talent tree. Or your Ascension tree. Furthermore, you have talents that you can use to customize your character. As you know, talents would augment the skills that you currently have equipped. So, for example, let's look at one. The Cryomancer's dash now becomes a slide. The slide allows them to move 15 yards in a direction. So this would turn my dash, which is normally like 5 meters, to 15 yards, or 5 yards like 15, and does some really cool stuff. And there's a decent amount of customization within that itself. Not anything too crazy, but then you have, remember, the gear that I was talking about. You have the 2 stats you get to choose from on the gear. Furthermore, you have the 2 sub-stats you can choose from on the gear. Then, if we go back to the Atlas, if you look on this giant Atlas, on this one, you can see that in the middle of everything, there is kind of like a unique effect. So a talent, balance. The character takes 6% less damage for each level of the symbol when they are fighting against 3 or more enemies. And you can actually, of course, you could apply talents to your character, and these work on a global effect. For example, here's another one. Using offensive abilities allows you to activate Wave. Wave slows all enemies within an 8-yard radius by 50% for 4 seconds. It takes 25 seconds to recharge. When used together with Wave, damage both effects are applied simultaneously and cooldown time is reduced by 5 seconds. Let's pick another one. Defense Reflex. The character takes 10% less damage for each level of the symbol while under stun, fear, or blind immobilization effects. The character takes 3% less damage for each level of the symbol while under slowing effects. So there are different ways of customizing yourself. And to unlock a character on the tree, it does take quite a bit of time, and your first week or maybe even 2 weeks, you probably will not unlock a class unless you understand what you're doing. You need to navigate your way through the tree, come around, and actually click the class to get to it. So as you can see here, I have myself guided over to the Witch, because that's the class I'm going towards. So you're going to pick up your stats as you go across, and you have to navigate your way all the way over to pick the Witch, for example, which would be right here for me. There's also a God mode in the game, which I don't understand exactly how it works yet, so I'm not really going to bother talking too much about that. The God mode, you can see, is located right here. God's form. And then there's a couple more features, but I don't want to talk about them right now, so we're going to go and explain kind of a little bit about the world itself on how the gameplay is going to look. So let's go ahead and jump over there. It is a tab target game. However, a lot of the mechanics in the game, it's okay. So when it comes to you aiming, it's pretty much tab target. But when it comes to you getting attacked, a lot of it is true action based. You have telegraphs on the floor which you can dodge, and then there's non-telegraph skills that are just like projectiles flying or very quick, attacks that you can physically get out of the way of. The game is a bit laggy for me. Of course, I'm streaming. If I wasn't streaming, I'd be fine. But it is one thing to note that the game is a bit laggy. Let me go over here and grab this quest really fast. No, I don't want to go talk to her. Let's just show you guys some content. Again, I am in the early stages of the game, so here's how it works. You have your world here. There are some times where you get dailies. You can see with the tactical situation update, it'll pop up with like ×2 or ×3, etc. And here's how this works. Well, actually, I won't talk about these two because these are for later on in the game. We'll start with transformation. Sparks of transformation are used for resetting, so you don't need to pay any money if you ever want to reset. You have the ability to do like dailies and stuff and resets. You can also go into a training simulator to see any class you would like before you actually end up playing it if you don't want to make that decision. Credits are your main source of stuff for upgrading your gear and whatnot. So if you look at your gear really fast, let's talk about it right over, was it bag equipment. Alright, when you're upgrading your gear, you don't actually upgrade your weapon itself, you upgrade the slot that your weapon is in, meaning if you switch to another class, you don't have to re-upgrade again. You just need to have the weapon that's set for that character. So you would need a good weapon to be able to deal good damage, but you wouldn't need to upgrade the weapon because you're just upgrading the whatever, I don't know exactly what it's called. Think of your hand, and every time you upgrade your hand, it gets more pissed off. But the weapon that you're putting in your hand has to be class specific. I really don't know how to explain it. But it's a pretty good system. That way it doesn't really penalize you too much for switching classes. Although you still do need to find the gear and etc. And you still do need to navigate their own specific tree. So let's get back to the world here. Now, when I was showing you guys the tree, when you're navigating on the skill tree, there's 3 main types of, I guess, materials required to navigate on the tree. You have sparks of creation, balance, and destruction, and each one is used for a different thing. Usually it's, depending on what stat you're getting, it's required. So if you look at the tree, you can see here, if I go to the Ascension Atlas, this would require, this one requires the blue one. The blue one is, I forgot, you can see it here, sparks of balance. Then you have sparks of creation and sparks of destruction, and you can see the color accordingly, what is required to advance to the next so-and-so. So you can sort it by, if you need to farm a specific type, remember your missions reset every 40 minutes, the rewards kind of mix and match themselves. So you can see here where you would go for each one. Oh, this is actually, I need to do this. This is PvP. I'm going to have to actually do this. Shit. This is in 5 minutes. Oh man, I need to do that like now. Oh well, rip video, sad face. Anyway though, so this is this sorts it by this way. Then you can do balance, and you could do destruction. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a dungeon for you guys. I don't know how long it's gonna be. Usually dungeons are like 15-20 minutes, so we're gonna see exactly how that goes. So I am in need of some greens on my character. I would like to do the PvP, but I think the PvP is pretty Dan's game in this game, so I'm just gonna not really worry about the PvP, and instead we're just gonna go join something else. So we've got Lambert Catacombs, Oki Island. We'll go to Oki Island here, and we're gonna go on difficulty impossible, which is a pretty decent difficulty. I can't go on the one higher because it requires 3600 prestige. And let's go ahead and jump in. Rip my Oki tablet. So this game, you can group with pretty much anything you want, but you have to be within a similar prestige level, which kind of does suck. Because you can... Shut up. You can very easily... Okay, you can very easily exceed someone's prestige and just not be able to party with them anymore. So that is a bit frustrating in the game. But, you know, that's life. Now, this might seem a bit easy. You know, I do have my class mastered pretty well. I do understand pretty well how the game works. But I am telling you that I'm not going to say the game isn't necessarily easy. But if you're playing a non-tanking class, you can die very, very quickly in this game. The boss fights will be much more lengthy than the mobs I'm fighting right now. Also, every class is given a finisher. The finisher pops up on E as well. I just thought that's kind of cool. Now, the game also does scale to be much more difficult. I know that this difficulty is set impossible, but the game does get much more difficult as you progress through the difficulties and whatnot. I might actually kill myself doing this, because this is quite a lot of mobs. I'm gonna pop my ults here, actually. And this is one of the more easy instances. Even though it is tabbed on impossible, it is not a very difficult instance. It is a fun instance to run. But this is just to demonstrate and show you guys. Make no more than 3 dashes per fight. That's not good. I'm not going to be able to complete that. You also do have these side things, if you look on the right-hand side, where it's saying kill 4 more enemies with 1 blow and make no more than 3 dashes per fight. That's kind of like a side thing to do, but it does give you good rewards. It's for another type of resource, and that resource is used for upgrading your gear and your equipment. As you get to the more difficult ones as well, the mob scale to be quite more challenging. Again, this is a very I don't want to bore you guys, but I do want to stress this fact of this is not a very difficult dungeon for me to run. Now, there is another thing to do. Remember, you guys, I was talking to you about dailies, how every so often you'll get a daily and it'll tell you ×2 or ×3 reward. Sometimes your daily will tell you to play as another class, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you're gonna get to play as a class you've probably never played before. Like, you could tell me, go play as an alchemist, and I don't even have an alchemist unlocked. So it'll put you in the game with an alchemist, and the only problem is, A, you have no clue how the hell to play an alchemist, so you're probably going to get your ass kicked unless you know what you're doing, because it just fills up your keybinds and stuff. And 2, it doesn't really give you any talents, so you're kind of gimped at the same time. That's the only problem with it. And it is kind of a big problem, but I don't really know what exactly they could do about it. But it does suck, because you're like, oh man, I want this ×2 reward, but I've got to play with a class that I've never played before, and then you get your ass handed to you. Like, look there, I was fighting just basic mobs, nothing special, and I almost died. Because I actually went and started face tanking rather than just standing in the back and DPSing, because I'm built like 100% glass cannon right now. And that just goes to show, imagine if I was playing a class I didn't know how to play, I would just die instantly. You know, if I didn't kill mobs, I would literally just die. I mean, most of the boss's telegraphed attacks will hit me for like upwards of 1500 damage, maybe even 2000. That could have been messy too. My big AoE was on cooldown there, so I went into mirror image. I guess I call it mirror image and then popped it to freeze. I'm trying not to dash more than 3 times so I can get this thing. Oh, dashes in combat already failed. Oh no, wait, it's 2 out of 3. Okay, good, we're good. Kill 4 more enemies with 1 blow. I'm not gonna land that one right now. I'm too lazy to try to get it. RIP. Let's see. We got the next boss up here. Another very, very easy boss.
Monster appeared. It tore one of our men apart.
But all the bosses, aside from maybe 1 or 2, well, I'll say pretty much majority of them do have some type of I guess, emoting to them. Like this guy would go inside here and rip. Now he's gonna spawn ads because I didn't kill him within the timer. Well, I didn't destroy the thing within the timer. And now you just lose time. Rip. Sad face. There is a lock-on feature in the game. The lock-on feature is F, so if you look, it's kind of like a soft lock-on right now, where I could just turn around and it would cancel. And then there's a hard lock-on where if I actually press F, it's locked in, and no matter where I go, it's going to try to keep it centered, whereas this one wouldn't. This one will just... Yeah, alright, I think I have to actually start dashing. There's some bugs in the game, like there I tried to dash, and my dash said, fuck you, and didn't want to move. So there is, even though the game is in its near release date, there are quite a few bugs with the game that I do not enjoy. But it's nothing necessarily too bad. Like, one thing, this isn't necessarily a bug, it's more or less of my concern, is that when you start playing with someone, you know, typically when you're playing with your friend, especially when you're playing an instance-based game, this could totally just be my preference and not like a global preference, but typically when you're playing with a friend, you want to actually play with your friend, right? You want to dungeon with them, you want to party with them, whatever it is you want to do, you want to play it with them. Well, in this game, for some unknown reason, your dailies are synced up to you personally, meaning when you look on that board, your rewards are different from the person you're partied with, the person that's next to you, and vice versa. So your daily might not be your buddy's daily, which does suck, because if you're like, yo man, I need to run this because I need my ×2 bonus on this, and you know I really have to do this to unlock my class, and oh, I don't want to use that resource because I'm about to hit cap and I need a specific resource. You know, your guys are probably gonna end up running different dungeons solo because it's just like there's no need for you to do it. So that is one thing I do not enjoy right now with the game. One other thing I do not enjoy is if you purchase one of the packs, I'm not sure which pack gives it to you, it's one of the Founders packs, you're given weapons, a weapon and an offhand for your character that is really overpowered. Now granted, again, I've only have like maybe 20 hours of gameplay in this game, but the weapons are so strong that within these 20 hours of gameplay, I have not actually upgraded them. I accidentally destroyed my offhand because of another bug, which I think might just be a bug with me and not a bug with the game. But for the most part, they are so strong that you're not going to replace them for quite a while, which I don't really like, because I like seeing progression in characters, and that kind of halts your progression. Just to confirm, it is only the offhand and the main hand weapon, which are kind of like one of the main pieces, so it does kind of, that is one thing I did not enjoy. So in here as well, there are golden hands and there are these purple hands, and each one, the purple hand, if it hits you, will deal quite a bit of damage if it smacks you. Like this one might actually kill me, so I don't want to get hit by it. Let's just see. No, I'm good now. Nah, that's 500. It's not too bad. And the yellow hands will heal you. And for this upcoming boss fight, there's a constant wave of hands coming up, or coming out of the walls. And if you want to min-max, because again, for me, it's all about how quickly you can run things. Your goal would be essentially to pretty much run the dark hands into him and taking all of the yellow hands for you. And they're set to follow you, so it's not too difficult, but normally I do some cool fancy stuff and like dash around, but I'm trying not to do the dashes in combat. I guess for the sake of looking cool, I'll just say fuck it to that and just dash in combat. Because dashing is so important in this game. It's like one of the most defensive mechanics in the game. You know, I'm all about mobility and movement speed on any character I play, in any game I play, and it truly is king in this game. Like, for example, to get these hands in properly, we're just gonna go ahead and just dash right through the boss, and that didn't work. Never mind. Okay! Rip City, boys! Look at that, see? Remember I was telling you, if you do make a mistake on a fight, you can die very, very easily? I actually didn't know that if you dash into the boss, he knocks you up in the face, but, well, I guess you know now, right? So that is a good example of how much damage you can actually take, because I guess it does kind of make the game look really easy when I don't ever take damage. So there you go, as an example. You can die very, very quickly in this game if you're not properly evading mechanics. Sucks I didn't have a health pot on me. Would have been good. Your buff list is located in a pretty interesting spot. If you look at the boss, this might be hard to see, but he has this modifier that says 40% on him. If you look, it's like left of the debuff I have on him. It's like this little black outline box. That's where the boss debuffs are. And if you look at my character, right above my health bar, there's a negative one, or sorry, there's my buff bar as well, / negative buff bar, or debuff bar. Kind of in an interesting spot. Just thought I should bring that up. Also, one thing to note is, anytime a boss or something you're fighting has multiple health bars, anytime you knock at a health bar down, you get a healing globe. And I do believe these healing globes, are these really white ones, heal for a percentage of your maximum health, I believe? I believe that's how it works. There we go. That would be the dungeon. Rip my rewards. What do we get, a C+? A B. A B! That's okay. So that's pretty much going to be the game for you guys. Of course, if you guys have any questions at any point in time during the video, feel free to drop them down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of them that you guys have. But that is pretty much going to be it for now. Again, I do apologize if I left out any information. These videos are actually kind of difficult when you're not, I don't know, it's weird when you don't jot down your points. So anyway, that's pretty much going to be it for now. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Really fast, before I go though, I just remembered one more thing about the game. For those of you guys who want to do something that's not just instance-based, there is some grinding and other stuff you can do. If you look at the map, there are these little ones with these triple clusters. And these triple clusters are kind of like open world. It's not really open world. I don't know if there's channels in it or not, but because I never really see more than like maybe 50 people in them. But essentially, you can actually go questing in these areas. And I'm going to pull it up for you guys right now. You can see it's like a legit questing place that you can go into, and you can go around and it'll tell you, like, you know, go kill this, or if you go over here, it'll say, you know, do this and do that, etc. And they're pretty cool. Like, it's an actual open world area environment that you can kind of just go ahead and do. So even though I will say the game is still instance-based, but you still get this kind of free little bit of free roaming aspect to it. You're not just locked in this little thing. What the hell is this? Well, boom. So that's going to be it for now again. Hope you guys had a wonderful time, and I hope that you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Take care, everybody.